I used to think silence was peace. Now I know, it's just what comes after the storm. This morning, the city outside my window hums with its usual rhythm: horns, heels on pavement, the distant hiss of espresso machines. I'm sitting in my office, 40 stories above Manhattan, watching sunlight slide across the glass table where my phone won't stop buzzing. Another email, another request, another ghost from the past. I smooth the sleeve of my silk blouse, the same pale cream as the foam on my coffee, and force myself to breathe. Across the room, a framed photo catches my eye: me and my son, Ethan, on the beach last summer. He's smiling, gap-toothed and wild-haired, holding a kite against the wind. My reason, my proof that survival can look like joy. But then I see the name flashing on my phone screen. Samantha, my sister. For a moment, everything inside me freezes. I haven't spoken to her in almost 8 years. Not since the night she turned my pain into entertainment, my dignity into a bidding war. The memory still feels raw, even now, even after everything I've built. I hesitate, thumb hovering over the screen. Then I open the message. Hey, Eliza. I know it's been forever, but I need to talk to you. It's important. Please. My heart gives a single, traitorous thump. I close my eyes, inhale the sharp scent of bergamot from my tea, and let the past crash through the walls I've spent years building. She wants to talk. After what she did. Oh, this should be interesting. 8 years ago, I wasn't Eliza Whitmore, CEO. I was just Eliza Collins, a 26-year-old single mother trying to stay invisible in a family that never forgave me for existing differently. Samantha, my older sister, was the golden one. The one with the perfect laugh, the perfect fiancé, the perfect white dress waiting in a boutique window. I was the stain she pretended not to see, the reminder that perfection was just a costume. Her wedding day was supposed to be about love. That's what she said when she invited me. Eliza, come on, it's family. Let's start fresh. I believed her. God help me, I believed her. The ballroom at the Langston Hotel glowed with chandeliers and champagne laughter. I remember holding Ethan's hand. He was only 5, his tiny fingers sticky from a cupcake he wasn't supposed to have. My dress was secondhand, my shoes scuffed. Still, I smiled, trying to blend into the blur of satin and roses. Then Samantha took the microphone. Before we toast, she said, her voice syrupy sweet, we're doing something special tonight, a charity auction. But not just any auction. Laughter rippled through the guests. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. Tonight, she continued, we're auctioning something priceless, a weekend with my lovely sister, Eliza, and her adorable little boy. Let's raise money for the honeymoon fund. The crowd gasped, then cheered. Someone actually whistled. I froze. My face burned. I wanted to speak, but my throat turned to sand. I heard my own pulse roaring in my ears as people started calling out bids like it was a game. 200, 500, 1,000. Each number was a slap. Ethan clutched my arm, whispering, Mommy, what's happening? I looked at Samantha, expecting her to stop it. But she just smiled, glowing under the chandeliers, basking in her spotlight. Something inside me cracked. The laughter, the lights, the music, they all blurred into a dull roar as I turned, grabbed Ethan's hand, and walked out. I didn't even look back. On my way out, my grandmother's voice echoed in my head, the one thing she'd always told me before she passed. When they trade your worth for their amusement, child, leave. Even if it costs you everything. That night, I left with nothing but my son, a suitcase, and that memory. It was the last time I saw my sister. The first months after I left were a blur of exhaustion and fear. Ethan and I moved into a tiny studio apartment in Queens, the kind where you could stand in the middle and touch both walls. The wallpaper peeled like old skin, and the radiator hissed all night, but it was ours. No more humiliation. No more auctions. I worked wherever I could, waiting tables in the evenings, cleaning offices at dawn. My hands were raw from bleach, my feet ached, and some nights I'd stare at Ethan sleeping on the pull-out couch, wondering if I'd ruined both our lives by walking away. But then something shifted. One morning, I found an old notebook of my sketches, interior layouts, furniture ideas I'd drawn back in community college before I dropped out to raise Ethan. Looking at them, I felt something I hadn't in years: hope. So, I took a risk. I started offering budget design help for small businesses, cafes, thrift shops, anyone willing to let me rearrange, repaint, and breathe life into tired spaces. My first client was a local bakery owned by a widow named Martha Green, who saw more in me than I did in myself. "You've got an eye, kid," she said, watching me paint the window trim sunflower yellow. "Don't waste it." Martha became my first mentor and my biggest cheerleader. She introduced me to her friends, small business owners all over the city. Word spread fast. Within a year, I was redesigning half the block. But it wasn't easy. I fought through rejection, exhaustion, and the voice in my head that sounded too much like my sister's. "You'll never make it." I remember crying in the shower one night after a client refused to pay, whispering to myself, "Just one more day, Eliza. One more." And somehow that one more day always came. By the time Ethan turned 8, I had a small but steady design firm, EW Interiors, run from a shared office above a laundromat. I hired 2 assistants, learned to budget, learned to sell myself without apologizing. Then came my first big break, a corporate client in Midtown looking to rebrand their entire headquarters. They loved my minimalist touch, my attention to emotion in design, spaces that felt like healing. When the project launched, a lifestyle magazine featured my work under the headline, "The Woman Who Designs Second Chances." The irony wasn't lost on me. From there, everything snowballed: bigger clients, investors, a feature on TV. I incorporated, rebranded under my new name, and made sure no one in my old life could trace me easily. I bought a townhouse in the city, sent Ethan to a good school, and built a company worth more than I ever imagined. But despite it all, I stayed quiet online. No flashy posts, no bragging, just gratitude and forward motion. Because deep down, I knew success meant nothing if it was only revenge in disguise. Still, every now and then, when I saw wedding photos online, smiling brides, sparkling glasses, I'd feel that old ache. And I'd whisper to myself, "You survived. That's enough." The message from Samantha lingered in my inbox for days. I must have opened it 100 times, each time ready to delete it, each time hesitating. Eventually, curiosity, or maybe closure, won. So one Friday morning I replied, "If you need to talk, meet me at my office." Monday, noon. When she walked in that day, it felt like time itself paused. Samantha hadn't changed much. Same glossy hair, same self-assured smile that used to light up every room. But there was something different in her eyes now, a flicker of uncertainty, a shadow of fear. "Wow," she said softly, looking around. "This place is incredible." My office sat at the top floor of the Whitmore building, sunlight flooding through floor-to-ceiling windows. The decor was minimalist: white marble, soft oak, muted golds. Every detail told a story of rebuilding. Behind my desk, a wall of framed photos: Ethan at a science fair, the bakery I first redesigned, a snapshot of Martha Green before she passed. I stood there in silence, watching Samantha's gaze move across the room, tracing the life she had no idea existed. "So," I said finally, my voice calm but steady, "what's so important?" She hesitated, then sighed, her composure cracking. "Eliza, I'm in trouble. We're broke. The company Michael started, it fell apart. The debts, the lawyers. I didn't know who else to turn to." I raised an eyebrow. "And you thought I'd help you?" Her lower lip trembled. "You're my sister." That word, sister, hung in the air like smoke. "You remember the last time you used that word?" I asked. "At your wedding? When you auctioned me and my son like we were props in your show?" Tears welled in her eyes. "Eliza, I was stupid. I didn't mean to?" I cut her off, my tone cool. "You humiliated me, Samantha. You made Ethan cry. You laughed while people bid on our dignity." She looked away, shaking. "I know. I've thought about it every day since. Please, I'm not that person anymore. I studied her face, searching for truth. And maybe, just maybe, I saw a glimpse of remorse. But something else too, desperation. I walked to the shelf behind me and picked up a small silver envelope. Funny thing, I said. Do you remember how the bidding ended that night? She frowned. Someone shouted some insane number, 800 something? The DJ cut it off, and you stormed out. Why? I handed her the envelope. Because that someone wasn't joking. Inside was a check dated years ago for $850,000. Her eyes widened. What is this? The man who made that offer, I said quietly, was at your wedding. A guest from Michael's company. He tracked me down weeks later. Said he didn't bid to buy me. He bid to help me leave. He saw what you were doing and thought, maybe I needed a way out. Samantha's mouth fell open. And you took it? I took a fraction of it, I said. Just enough to start again. The rest, I turned into this. I gestured around the office. Every inch of my life rebuilt from what you tried to destroy. She stared at me, speechless. Then I smiled, a slow, measured smile that came not from revenge, but from peace. I guess you could say your auction had a higher purpose after all. The silence that followed was heavy. Samantha's tears spilled freely now, and for the first time, I didn't feel pity. I felt release. She whispered, I don't deserve your forgiveness. No, I said softly, you don't. But I'll give it anyway, because I earned my peace the hard way. I turned toward the window, the city gleaming beneath us. You came here asking for help. You'll get it, but on my terms. Her head lifted, uncertain. Your terms? Yes, I said, looking back at her. You're about to learn what conditions feel like. Samantha sat across from me, twisting her engagement ring like a nervous tick. The same ring she used to flash in every family photo, proof of her perfect life. Now it looked like an anchor. I poured us both tea. Jasmine, calm and sharp, like the conversation that was about to unfold. You said you need help, I began. Fine. I'll help you, but not the way you expect. Her eyes lifted, full of cautious hope. Anything, Eliza. Please. I leaned back in my chair. Condition 1, I said evenly. You pay off your debts yourself. I'll fund a small loan under your name, strictly business. You'll rebuild, but you'll earn every cent back. Her mouth opened. But. I raised a hand. No buts. The days of easy favors are over. If you want redemption, start by facing your own mess. She nodded slowly, shame clouding her features. Condition 2, I continued. You're going to work for me. Her head jerked up. What? EW Interiors needs a project manager for community spaces, nonprofit centers, shelters, women's homes. You'll start there. Entry level. You'll learn humility, compassion, and maybe how to respect the people you used to look down on. She blinked, stunned. You'd let me work for you? A faint smile touched my lips. Let you? No. I'm giving you a chance. Don't mistake it for charity. The weight of my words hung between us. Condition 3, I said finally, my voice softening. You will apologize to Ethan. Not just with words. You'll show him who you are now. He deserves that. Tears gathered in her eyes. He was just a little boy, she whispered. I can't imagine what he must have thought. He thought his aunt didn't love him, I said simply. He thought laughter meant cruelty. For a long moment, the only sound was the faint ticking of the clock. Then Samantha nodded, tears spilling freely. I'll do it all, Eliza. Every condition. I just want to make it right. I studied her for a moment. She looked smaller now, humbled. Not by my success, but by the mirror of her own reflection. Then do it, I said quietly. Not for me, not even for Ethan. Do it for the woman you were supposed to be. She gave a trembling smile. You sound like Grandma. That made me pause. Maybe I finally understand her, I said. She used to say forgiveness isn't weakness, it's the proof you survived. I stood, signaling the end of our meeting. Samantha rose too, uncertainty shadowing her face. "Eliza," she murmured. "Thank you." "Really?" I nodded, slipping my hands into my pockets. "Don't thank me yet. Thank me when you've earned your own peace." As she walked to the door, I added, "And Samantha, next time someone tries to auction off another person's worth." She turned back, eyes red. "Make sure you're the one doing the bidding for good." She gave a faint, watery laugh. "I will." When the door closed behind her, I exhaled, my heart lighter than it had been in years. Finally, the price of peace had been set, and it wasn't $850,000. It was accountability. Months passed. The first time Samantha showed up for work, she wore a designer coat and heels that didn't belong on a construction site. The other project manager smirked, whispering as she sank her stilettos into the mud outside a women's shelter we were renovating. But by week 3, the heels were gone. She started showing up early, hair pulled back, sleeves rolled. She listened more than she spoke. I watched her kneel beside women who'd lost everything, listening, helping, not judging. Something in her softened, and for the first time since we were kids, I saw my sister, the one who used to braid my hair before school, not the one who auctioned me off. Ethan was cautious when I told him she wanted to see him. At 15, he'd grown into quiet confidence, the kind that comes from surviving storms early. When she finally met him, she froze, guilt written all over her face. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she said to him, voice shaking. "But I want you to know I'm sorry for everything." He looked at her for a long time, then simply said, "Mom already did. That's enough for me." Later that night, as I tucked away some old papers in my office, I found the small velvet box that had belonged to our grandmother. Inside was the silver locket she gave me before she died, engraved with a single word, worth. I smiled, tracing the word with my thumb. Grandma used to tell me, "Your worth isn't what they say it is, Eliza. It's what you decide to carry forward." That line had carried me through everything. Weeks later, as Samantha and I stood side by side at a charity gala for survivors of domestic abuse, the same ballroom where her wedding once took place, I realized life had come full circle. The chandeliers still shimmered, the music still played, but this time, there were no auctions. Just women celebrating each other's strength. Samantha leaned close, whispering, "I don't deserve this chance." I smiled. "Maybe not, but you're earning it." When the night ended, I stood near the balcony overlooking the city lights, the air crisp and calm. There was no revenge in my heart, no bitterness, just quiet pride. I touched the locket at my throat and whispered to the wind. They once tried to sell my worth. Now, they couldn't afford my forgiveness. And for the first time in years, I felt completely free.